After 9 years in development and 10 years in existence, the idea of Team Fortress 2 has existed for almost 20 years. At the beginning of TF2's development, I myself was only 3 years old, and a fair share of the people playing it today weren't even born. So after all this time, where does the game stand? Has it held up? How did it last so long, and where is it going? This is Team Fortress 2, 10 years later. Team Fortress 2 started its development in 1998, but the game looked far different from the game we have today. It was set out to be a realistic looking class-based first-person shooter, based around the Quake mod Team Fortress. The team behind the Quake mod were planning on making their own version of Team Fortress 2, but then Valve approached them and brought a team of modders simply called Team Fortress Software with them to work on Valve's Team Fortress 2. The game changed in both appearance and mechanics over the years, being shown as realistic and tactical and even hinting at RTS elements. But in the mid-2000s, Valve announced that the development of the game had stopped, and no one heard anything of the game. Until 2006, when Team Fortress 2 was revealed at EA's Summer Showcase event. The game still looked somewhat different from what we have today, but the Knighted Mercenaries were all there. Then, finally, on October 10th, 2007, the game was released. The game was well received on launch. Of course, nothing compared to the giants in gaming we see today, like Call of Duty and Overwatch with their millions upon millions of sales, but still a really popular release. Sadly, the Steam charts don't go back any further than 2012, so the current all-time peak according to the Steam chart sits at 117,917 players. We can't know for certain how many players the game had on launch, but I would guess it sat around 100 to 120,000. It could very well be much more. We might never know, but the game was well received. It was fresh and new. From an ocean of realistic looking shooters came a fun, unique and humorous game full of character, variation and cartoony visuals. The Scout, Soldier, Pyro, Demoman, Heavy, Engineer, Medic, Sniper and Spy. 9 classes with unique playstyles. Of course, class-based shooters were nothing new, but when you changed class in this game, it felt like you were playing an entirely different game altogether. Fast-paced, class-based action. It was awesome. And shortly after the release, the update started. On April 29th, 2008, TF2's first update drops. It gives 3 new weapons to the medic. The Blutsauger, the Kritzkrieg and the Ubersaw. And they kept going like this, giving weapons to Pyro, Heavy, Scout and the Sniper and Spy in the Sniper vs Spy updates. These updates gave us some of the most interesting and most used weapons in this game, even to this day. Medics hardly use anything but the Ubersaw on melee. The flare gun is perfect for annoying pyro mains. The sandwich is the cornerstone of a healthy heavy medic relationship. The Sandman should never have been added to the game. Seriously. And the Luxman, and the Kuntsman, and the Huntsman is widely used by many a pub stomper. These updates also gave us some iconic maps such as Gold Rush, Badwater and Arena mode. And then, on August 13th, 2009, hats. At the time, it was nothing but a funny little addition to spice up the game, but little did Valve know what they had released upon the world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I won't go through every single update TF2 has ever had, but let's bust through the years and look at some of the more interesting ones. December 17th, 2009, the War update happens, giving weapons such as the Direct Hit and the Eyelander to the classes, but also pitting demomen and soldiers against each other to get an extra item, and also asking the community to draw propaganda posters for the class they wanted to see win. The soldiers won, having killed over 6 million demomen and were given the gunboats. June 10th, 2010, the Mac update. Not only giving TF2 to Mac players, but also giving out an item that would become one of the pillars of the TF2 economy, the earbuds. This item actually became a literal part of the TF2 economy. People price other items such as unusuals in earbuds. But as keys increased in price, people panicked and sold their earbuds, therefore crashing the price. September 30th, 2010, the Manco store gets added to the game. October 27th, 2010, the second Halloween update gives us our first boss fight with the Horseless Headless Horseman and his ex, the Horseless Headless Horseman's Head Taker. June 23rd, 2011, the Uber update gives us a bunch of new weapons, a new map, the Meet the Medic short, and lastly, it made Team Fortress 2 free to play. It's weird to think that it's been 6 years since the game became free, but it wasn't anywhere near as apparent back then as it is today, but we'll get back to that later. August 15, 2012, Man vs. Machine. A thrilling horde mode with prizes to win. This was also when TF2 hit its current all-time player peak according to the Steam charts with over 100,000 players. November 21st, 2013, the 2 cities maps are added to Man vs. Machine, introducing killstreak effects and the oh so popular golden Australian weapons, some of which are worth up to $2,000 today. June 18th, 2014, the Love and War update gives us the Conga, Square Dance, Skullcracker, Flip, and Rock Paper Scissors taunts, and the longest TF2 short to this date, expiration date, honing in at almost 15 minutes long. This short was actually supposed to be a pilot for an Adult Swim TV/web show, but after several delays and rewrites, Adult Swim dropped it. July 2nd, 2015, the Gunmetal update introduces contracts and weapon skins for the first time ever. July 7th, 2016. The Meet Your Match update introduces a competitive mode and takes away all Valve servers from the server browser, and instead gives us casual mode. This update is to many regarded as the worst update in Team Fortress 2 history. And at the time of writing, this is the last major update we have had for well over a year. In fact, 2017 hasn't had a single update so far. So, with no updates for over a year, this year almost being over, hundreds of players leaving the game and many just waiting to see if the Pyro update is any good and leave if it isn't? Where does Team Fortress 2 stand in 2017? Well, it's hard to say, but not many games survive for 10 years, and it's not hard to understand why TF2 did. But with this video being made before the Pyro/Jungle update coming out, all I can do is speculate. And that speculation will be outdated and maybe laughably wrong within a week, so I won't. All I can say is that I think the update cannot possibly live up to the hype. Of course I hope that it's a good update and that it fixes a lot of issues, but I don't believe it's going to bring back a lot of lost players. I'm sure TF2 has some good years left in it, but I personally don't think it's going to resurge back to its former glory. We've talked about what TF2 was, is, and what it may become, but you can't simply not talk about this game without talking about its community. Since the game came out, people have been making content based around it, getting more creative as the years pass by. Of course, every big game community has content made of it, but the TF2 community is something of its own. YouTube poops, music remixes, movie trailers, live action, Garry's mod, artwork, maps, game modes. The content is endless. Thousands of dedicated, creative and somewhat insane fans gathering together, creating something for their favorite game. And for the last 5 years, TF2 YouTubers has become its whole own entity, using the in-game cosmetics to create their own unique persona. Uncle Dane, Funk, Array7, Mr. Paladin, Musilk, Star. You also got smaller ones such as German Peter, Doomsday, Timo the Scientist, and myself. And I could sit here and list off TF2 YouTubers all day long if I wanted to, but I simply don't have the time. TF2 YouTubers, or TF-tubers as some call them, has in fact created their whole own tightly knit community, supporting each other, appearing in each other's videos, and even creating real life friend groups. Some live commentate, some do silly stuff in game, some try to break the meta. Robot. There's also the yearly Tip of the Hats charity event, hosted by members of the TF2 community. It started in 2013 and has raised over $500,000 for children's oncology services. There's no denying the presence TF2 has had on the internet, and although the community can seem rough today, we can't forget all the good it has done. TF2 also has a very dedicated, somewhat self-made competitive scene. With it never being officially supported by Valve, the TF2 competitive community is still extremely tightly knit. Competitive Team Fortress 2 has spawned many amazing moments and showed up some incredible skill in gaming.
None of us are quitting TF2 because we dislike the game or that we are burnt out and hate the whole experience. We just can't justify spending all the time we have without the game being big enough to give us something back. If TF2 does go somewhere, it's like the players. You never quit TF2. Maybe they'll go on in latter years and create something even better, but it won't be the same. All I can hope is that people receive it with the same amount of passion as we'll have creating it. This isn't going to save TF2, but this is going to make everybody who plays and watches TF2 happy and excited to watch. And at the end of the day, that's worth it.
To end this video off, I want to look into the ups and downs of the game. So I want to start with some light critique. And when it comes to the gameplay, I have nothing to critique. The gameplay loop is the reason the game has lasted so long, but the real critique lies other places. The hats quickly became a meme of its own both inside and outside TF2, with people who hadn't even played the game referring to it as a hat simulator. But memes aside, the hats in TF2 started out innocently enough, but has since swayed far away from the art style, arguably ruining it. If you want to hear more about this subject in depth, go over and watch Funk's video Death of an Art Style if you haven't already. He explains it really well. Earlier, I praised the TF2 community for its content and unity, but there's a toxic part to it as well. All gaming communities have toxic people, some more than others, and I don't think TF2 has the worst community by any stretch, but I think there's an extremely vocal minority, and that minority has said and done some really bad stuff. They nag and threaten people that quit playing the game, some still bothering content creators many years after they quit, or just plainly talking trash about them and their opinions solely because they quit playing a video game. I still love this game and its community, but nothing is immune to criticism. Team Fortress 2 has been an amazing game, and has lasted for a long time. It stood through a generation of games trying to outdo it, through ups and downs, good and bad updates. But most importantly, it's an extremely well-made game with gameplay and mechanics unlike any other. I started playing it over 8 years ago, and I missed the nights when I would play on the same map for 10 hours on a community server full of experienced players that all try to work together to win. I missed the pure enjoyment I used to get out of this game. I would look at my games list on Steam, and after looking for something to play for a minute, I would just end up playing TF2. If I bought a big new game, I would play for an hour and then go back to playing TF2 because, frankly, I was addicted. TF2 fucking ruined my life. And I loved every second of it. And no matter if it survives for another 10 years or dies tomorrow, I can definitely say that I still love TF2. 10 years later.